Perfect.
Yeah, I heard of these guys running scared motion pictures.
All right. Let me just get a little bit more in here. All right. You ready?
Comfy?
I am now. What's up, guys? This is Josh from Running Scared Motion Pictures, and I'm excited because today I have with me
Chad Varnum. I'm the tournament organizer at 5-Star Games, USA in West Springfield.
Nice, and we're excited to be here. This is our second podcast episode. You got to meet Max in the first one, and I apologize for the audio. This audio will be much better. But I'm excited because we came down to 5-Star Games. We did a little video here, and this place is honestly awesome. So I wanted to pull Chad on so he could talk a little bit about what it's like owning a game shop, why he got into it, and we can just get to know him a little bit better. So Chad, what do you think the people should know about you?
I don't like walks on the beach. I'm about 6'5", but seriously, no. Well, actually, I got involved with the game shop business because of my son. Actually, he and his friends would go to another local game store, and they were playing Magic, and it was just not a comfortable environment, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. So I talked with him about about opening up his own store, and he was all thumbs up and excited about it, and he's had a lot of support from the family and from me in order to do it, and from friends and the customers, and that's what created this business.
Nice. Yeah, I'll tell you, when I walked in this place, it's clearly a labor of love. I use that term a lot, but I mean, I think it's kind of hard, especially for game stores to either open or to survive during the pandemic and all that. So, I mean, when I walked in and I seen this place at this level, I mean, the display cases are immaculate. This store is clean every time I've been in here, and it feels welcoming. You have a great community here. You know, you've obviously taken the time to craft the people you want to come in your store, which you cater towards pretty much everybody here, right? You like the new players. You've got some tournament stuff going on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, our philosophy is we're here for people who want to play. So whether it is a trading card game or a tabletop game, we are here. We do competitive tournaments once a month as far as Warhammer 40K goes. So once a month we have a 2,000-point tournament going on, which we schedule regularly. And then every weekend and during the week, we have some designated nights that we're doing an Escalation League, which is primary focus towards new players or recreational players, or for those players that haven't been playing Warhammer in a number of years, or haven't played since 3rd edition in some cases, and they're looking to get back into the game and get fluent with the new rules.
When I first set out to do this channel, we wanted to kind of touch in on every games, and I knew about Warhammer. I knew that it was popular. I didn't want to focus on it as much as I think we're going to, but I'll tell you, even in a little bit of time that I've been in these stores shooting this stuff, getting to learn the lore. Max is over there right now. We're working on another video where he's doing a build to some of the Kill Team stuff that we're going to start, which was sponsored in part by 5-Star Games. So thank you for that. And it was cool because Chad was actually the first person to reach out to us. He had what video did you see? Can you talk a little bit about how you stumbled across us?
Yeah, actually I was on the New England Tabletop forums on Discord, and I saw a video that was recently posted. It said RSMP Tabletop, and it had, I believe, the top 5 tabletop games in 5 minutes, and it was sponsored down by the Battle Standard down in East Windsor. And I know the people down there, great people, and so obviously I clicked on the video, and the next thing you know, I was just super impressed with everything that I was watching, and talked to my son, and we reached out to Josh at RSMP Tabletop, and the rest just kind of happened.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Again, it means a lot to us. We've been working hard to try to make the content and stuff, so we're just excited to be here and have the opportunity to get to show off your store. And we've got some players playing over here, the Escalation League. So we're going to start off. We decided we want to kind of dip our toe into Kill Team. It's a skirmish game. It's a little smaller than the 40K. The armies aren't as big. The games are a little quicker. It'll allow us to build armies quicker, get a little bit of the painting done quicker, and get us onto the tabletop. From there, we do want to do an Escalation League, which we'll probably end up here at some point doing that. And the Escalation League, I know we've kind of talked about that a lot, and you've brought it up here, but I think that's honestly, if you're thinking about dipping your foot into Warhammer and you think you want to play the bigger scale version of it, there's no better option, right?
I agree. There are other stores out there that do Escalation Leagues that I'm aware of. We kind of do our own thing. We make it a very, very gradual increases as far as the points in your army. We start everybody out at 500 points, and then we gradually go up 250 points approximately every 3 to 4 weeks. We do 4 games at every level, so the first games are going to be at 500 points, then at 750 points, then at 1,000 points, then at 1,250, then at 1,500, and then we do jump from the 1,500 up to the 2,000 point, and the 2,000 point army is the same as what would be run at the normal tournament level.
Awesome. Yeah, no, maybe you can help clear this up a little bit, because I feel like this is the thing I kind of always stumble on. Max and I touched on it on the last podcast a little bit, but I kind of equated the different types of Warhammer out there, like Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy. Like, would you say that's like different types of or different formats from Magic the Gathering, or how would you equate that?
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good reference, I think. 30K, which is also referred to as the Horus Heresy, in the timeline takes place before 40K, so approximately 10,000 years into the previously. And I believe most of the armies that you're playing in that are all Space Marines versus other types of Space Marines. And then obviously 40K is what most people are drawn to. Age of Sigmar is similar to 40K, but it's a little bit more on the fantasy side. I wasn't involved in Warhammer many years ago, but I guess there was a fantasy line that Warhammer did, and then they up and decided in the lore that something along the lines of, okay, the chaos wins, everything's destroyed, and then people were left wondering, like, okay, now what do I do with my fantasy Warhammer armies and such? So I think as a resolution, they came out with the Age of Sigmar line, which kind of is a lot more fantasy-based as far as when you compare it to Warhammer 40K.
Awesome. So you obviously carry a lot of Warhammer stuff in here, but what was it about the game that drew you to it? Is it the building? Is it the painting? Is it the playing? Like, what's your favorite part about the game?
Well, I'm a new player, so I'm a newbie, you could say, and I'm not shy about that. I'm a big miniature painter, and I've been painting miniatures for Dungeons & Dragons for decades. So I always enjoyed miniature painting. I felt it was very therapeutic, and I've taught many people on how to paint. I just think it's a great hobby to get into. I never really got into 40K back in the day, 30, 40 years ago when it was out, because to me the miniatures weren't appealing. They were very, if you were doing a squad of orcs, they were all in the same pose. They were all on one card. They all had big flag banners on them, and they just weren't appealing to me. So I never looked into it any further than that until recently. And with this store opening, we got a lot of support and input from the 40K community. In fact, when this store first opened about a year ago, all of our 40K stuff you could just spin on the back 5 displays in our store. And now, we've got about 30 displays in the store that all are organized, clean, neat, and display Warhammer, so you can come in and find what you need pretty easily. They're organized alphabetically, so some people are just a little bit more particular. I guess I'm one of them. I like it organized and clean, so people can find what they need.
Well, I'll tell you, when we walked into the store, the display cases were one of the things that caught our eye right off the bat. And again, it's the time, it's the care, it's the effort. I feel like every box is not just placed there, it's positioned there for a reason to look good. I mean, you can just, I feel like the blood, sweat, and the tears really shows through. So this is actually kind of cool, because you're the first person that I got to make a video for, where now I get to be on the other side and like, what'd you think of it? Did I do the store justice? What'd you like? What didn't you like? And again, you can be honest. I love the feedback, because nobody ever got better from, yeah, that was good, I liked it. So if there was something you didn't, let's hear it.
I can't criticize anything. The video came out phenomenal. All the comments that people posted up were all positive. A lot of people hadn't seen the store, because in the Warhammer community, we're kind of the new store, or the new kids on the block, so to speak. And when it comes to most Warhammer players, from what I've heard, if they see a tournament or an event, they're going to go to a store that they know or that they've been to before, as opposed to a new store that they haven't been to before. So I just want to throw out there, watch YouTube, watch RSMP Tabletop, check out the video, specifically the one for 5-star games. Take a look and see if it's appealing to you, because the feedback that we get from our customers is all positive as far as our selection, the way things are organized. We get a lot of positive feedback. So
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap this up, but I appreciate you being on here, Chad. We're going to shoot some more footage. We got Max over there doing some building. You have some Escalation League play going on today, and I think we're going to see you and this store a lot more in future videos. So
I look forward to it.
Thank you for your time. All right, so I'm back, and I have one more person to interview today for the podcast. With me, I have
Ryan. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too, Ryan. I'm glad to have you on. So we are at 5 Star Games USA in West Springfield. What is your first impression of the store? What do you think about it? Why are you here? Why the store?
I played Warhammer when I was about 12 years old. And I stopped for a long time just because life happens. Then COVID happened, right?
Yep.
And I still worked during COVID, but I had nothing to spend my money on. So suddenly I developed a savings account, and being in my 20s, I'm like, what's the fastest way to burn through that?
A hobby.
Yeah, Warhammer 40K, right?
Yeah.
So I started collecting again just for fun and building, and sure enough, I had like 4 small armies and all that, but then I had nobody to really play with. But I was okay with being in my COVID bubble and working and doing figurines in my spare time and all that. And that was fine. But then I moved out to Western Mass, and I was playing Magic the Gathering. And I really haven't seen stores like this out in Western Massachusetts. Till one day my buds are like, hey, we're playing at the store. And then I came in and I saw everything. And I was like, oh, stores exist like this outside of cities. Because beforehand, it was all cities, you know. I would go to stores and there'd be people and everything. And I thought it was like a city thing. But it's more than that. And I started painting and building and getting my stuff ready. And then I was told that there was a beginner's league almost, a ramp-up league. Mm-hmm. So it was like, oh, it's the first time I can play this game with people almost that I haven't before. Because as you're a kid, you're like doing the best, but you're still a kid.
Yeah.
And I used to do little corn.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. I used like this bad spray paint. I had whatever my mom had. I didn't even have plastic glue. I had super glue. So it was like these weird, grotesque add-ons to it. But it's nice to do it as like an adult and actually like read into and be like, oh, what are the rules? How can this match? You know?
That brings me to my next question for you. What is it about Warhammer that attracts you? Is it the lore? Is it the building? Is it the playing? Like what makes you empty out your bank account, because I know how expensive this game can be, but come down here. I mean, more importantly, I know, like I said, 5 Star Games USA in West Springfield here, like this place looking as good as it does and being as inviting as it is, and Chad's whole business motto of like, really it's about coming here and just having fun and playing, like, right, like that's what it's about, right? But like, what is it for you in particular that you love so much about Warhammer 40K?
So this may be off, because my first statement was about spending money and like feeling good through shop therapy. But I study economics. Okay. And I study scarcity, and I study math, and I study how things interact with other things for outcomes. Okay. And I've done Hearthstone for a while. I was like in the legendary circuit for that for a little bit. Then I did Magic. So I've always been into these like complex mechanisms. Warhammer has so many complex mechanisms, so many layers. Every army wants to do something else. It is one of those things that has so much depth and has so much knowledge. I will never reach the bottom of it, no matter like how hard I read or how much I try and like study, you know?
It'd take you at least 30 years, right? Or 32 years, however long the game's been around for.
Right.
Awesome. So what is your flavor of Warhammer? We've talked a little bit on the channel how there's like Kill Team, there's Necromunda. What do you play? What are you aspiring to? Like, what's your jam?
I like just, I guess, simple, normal. I haven't done Kill Team or Necronomicon. I've seen some things that are fun. I've seen some mechanics that are fun. But it's about me coming back in over 20 years later to rediscover passion and seeing what's there. Because you can't really base knowledge on what you have as like 8 to 12, right? Yeah. You're doing your, like I said, you're doing your best then. Yeah. So then coming back and seeing what happens, and then reading a whole bunch of things and exploring. And I may no longer be playing Khorne or World Eaters, but I'm still doing like Black Templar, which is very similar. But when I played corn back in the day. It was very dumb, you know what I mean? As many berserkers as possible.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's cool to see the progression, right? Like and I think the game's kind of come a long way over the years too. In the first podcast, Max had talked about he started playing on an older edition, and the rules used to be a little bit more crunchy and a little bit more different. But we live in a day and age where it's like, I feel like, look at the products. We have more products than ever. They're higher quality. The building's going smoother.
Do you remember the blast templates? They straight up came with the plastic blast templates.
You know what? So I don't remember anything Warhammer. When I started the tabletop space, I played a lot of Magic, and I just completely missed Warhammer. So I'm basically like brand new to this as well, which is like why you're talking about the Escalation League. Like that's what you're here playing today, the Escalation League. What made you want to join an Escalation League?
Well, I had a whole bunch of stuff that was sitting around. I was playing Magic. I came here, and they said, hey, we have a league for people who aren't used to playing. And I go, that's great. I'm used to collecting and painting. So now I get to play. And I was told that it wasn't too sweaty, that it wasn't focused on winning but having fun. And as Magic, I typically play Commander. So I'm all about like the experience, right? And it's just chill. I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to be like calm throughout. You kick my butt, I'm going to be like, congrats on kicking my butt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's my quality of life compared to winning one game, right?
Yeah, no, I hear. Well, it's funny. You brought up Magic, and again, like, not that this is to speak negatively or anything, but Magic is a very competitive, like, serious game, and I played a lot of tournament Magic myself, and it is stressful because the rules are very serious. There's no making mistakes, and you have to hold yourself to that standard. Warhammer, it's a very big game. It's very vast. There's a lot of rules. Me and Max had talked about in the first podcast, like, one of the things that really surprised me about the game is, like, you kind of get together with your opponent before you even play, and you kind of talk about all the tricks that you can do. Right. He called it a gentleman's agreement, and I think I see a lot of that in this community, and I see a lot of that here at 5-Star Games. I mean, when you walk in here, he really caters to everybody. It's not just about the tournament player that wants to come here and grind. You're certainly welcome, and he has a spot for you. But if you're new and you're really like, you know what, I either want to try Warhammer or I want to just see what it's about, like, I'd say just come down here, meet people like you.
Absolutely.
We're going to be here doing this and stuff. And, it's scary. When you first get into this game, it's big, it's vast, there's a lot going on. What did you do? Like, I know you started a long time ago, but when you got back into it, how did you see the best course of action to learn the game? You obviously joined an Escalation League, but what else are you doing to kind of prepare yourself for the vastness of the game?
I just honestly kind of picked up some core books and some books that I'm interested in, and I just read them for enjoyment, and then I watched some stuff on YouTube and practice. And I completely agree with what you said. When you come into the shop, it's almost like a different energy. Because my girlfriend also, she's a collector and painter, but she's not a player.
Yeah.
She loves Tyranids, and she went to art school, mass art. So now she's just painting them, but she's all about making translucent neon, kind of when you move them, the light changes.
Nice.
And she's using all this experimental stuff. And the guy here, Chad, actually won multiple awards for painting. So I'd come in here before and been like, what should I do? And he's like, I think I have an idea. And he would like walk me through the steps. So it's completely like whatever you want, you can like find it here. And I think the most intimidating thing is always the first step. So it's like, if I don't talk to somebody or be like, this is what I'm interested in, then a closed mouth won't get fed.
Yeah.
But by simply just being like, hi, I'm Ryan, I've played more Warhammer and had more fun than I could ever imagine. It just started by me being like, you know what? I'm going to be open to people today.
That got you sitting here on this little
thing. Absolutely.
Not that it's anything yet, but we're trying hard. It's awesome. So I'm glad to hear that your experience has been here so good. Chad did bring up a little bit about his painting, and you just kind of brought it up now. Like, he's a no-joke painter. I can't remember exactly what it was, but like he won a lot of awards. So we'll try to feature some of his stuff as it comes down. But like you said, you just walked in and he just took the time to explain stuff to you and show you. And
he went through the entire paint rack with me.
Like that's what's so cool about a place like this. It's like you don't get that everywhere.
No, it was more warm than I was expected.
Yeah.
Because I've lived in Boston for many years, so I didn't expect asking for somebody from help and then actually receiving it.
Yeah, or to that level, right? Yeah. I mean, but that's exactly it. I mean, I've seen him a number of times. Like, we're trying to film and do stuff, and when somebody comes in, we just stop, we put it on pause, and he just wants to go over and he wants to be attentive and really create a good experience. And that's kind of why we're sitting here today. We, like I said, I mentioned earlier in this podcast, we got Max over there building some stuff. We're gonna jump into some Kill Team. We're gonna do an Escalation League. So we look forward to seeing you on the tables. I'm sure you're gonna get to battle with us and be on film a little bit more. But I really appreciate you coming on the channel, man. You're very well spoken. You brought a lot of new insight to Warhammer for us. So.
I just hope you appreciate kicking my butt, because I'm not going to win.
You're probably going to be us. But before we sign off here, is there anybody that you'd like to thank or shout out, or is there anything you'd like to say to the people, or give us a good sign off here?
Sure. Life's too short to care about points. It's all just about having fun, you know?
I love that. That's a perfect sign off. I'm back again. This is Josh from RSMP Tabletop, and I'm excited because today I have with me
Devin. I play Tyranids and have quite a decent chunk of knowledge on the various alien factions that make up the setting.
Nice. So you actually brought that up. You know a lot about the lore and stuff, so that's kind of why I wanted to pull you on and have our little talk. So I'm guessing you got into Warhammer because of the lore?
Yes. That, and I did need something to do during the pandemic.
Nice. What do you like about the lore? Can you talk a little bit about it?
I like about the lore because there's like a little bit of something for everyone. If you like, you know, a noble-ish hero with slight corruption trying to face off against something that they're woefully unprepared for, then you got the Tau. If you just want to have a good time, fight some things with some Mad Max greenskins with the power of belief, you got orcs. If you want, you know, to just eat every single faction as a nice entree dish, then you got the Tyranids, and so on and so forth.
Oh, I like that. I like that. What is it about the Tyranids that you like so much?
Well, I actually quite like the design of the Tyranids, because I always grew up with, you know, liking dinosaurs, bugs, other creatures like that, and I feel like it has a nice mix of various different creatures, as well as, you know, having, despite, you know, these all being different monsters with different sizes and shapes, they all have key identifying features that they all have. Like, they all have 6 limbs, they all have bits of carapace, they all have their vents and stuff, and it's neat.
Nice. I noticed you actually did a really good job with your bases. I like that there's a lot of detail. It looks like, you know, do you enjoy the painting and building process? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yes, I love that part. The building is one of my favorite processes to do, because it's just either pretty peaceful to just poke some things into place, you know, wiggle them around while the glue's still fresh, and just get them in really interesting poses that you never would have thought you think they would be able to do.
Nice. All right, now, what do you use these for? Like, what's the game mode that you play? Are you a 40K guy, Age of Sigmar? What's your flavor of Warhammer?
I personally play 40K, as I'm recently in this Escalation League. This is my first time. So I mostly just use these guys in 40K. However, when building and posing these, I actually got the main idea for the bases and, you know, the characterization of these guys from reading some Kill Team magazines from, you know, the White Dwarf, which is the Warhammer's official magazine. So, yeah, I mostly just made them because even with, you know, mindless bugs, you can give them quite a bit of characterization with how you pose them. Like, this guy's triumphant and ready to fight. This guy's a bit more wild and unexpectable. And this one has a much more calm and professional look to him. Like, it's little things.
I really like what you're talking about right now. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get right now. People don't understand how much detail goes into these things. It's not just about getting them on the plastic sprue, cutting them out, and building the same thing, right? Like, there is expression that you get to do, so I'm glad you brought that up. I love your color scheme. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you chose to go with the color scheme you did?
This is actually a custom color scheme I made based off one of my favorite enemies from the World of Warcraft video game. The striping was a bit hard to do, but the best part about Tyranids is that there's a lot of them, so you don't have to get them perfect, and they look better together. In fact, the reason I did green in the first place is because of my favorite sub-faction of Tyranids, Tiamat, which are green and white. However, they don't have representation in the rules, and I like making a bit of my own fluff, so I, created my own sub-faction based off of them, but with a bit of extra details and stuff.
Awesome. You had mentioned that you were currently in the Escalation League. Can you tell me a little bit about why you decided to join an Escalation League and what benefits you think you're going to get out of it?
Well, this is my first time playing 40K, so I used to think it was like going to be a bit more complicated, but once you get into it with, the test league and escalation and stuff, it's really not as hard as you might think it will be. And the Escalation League is teaching me quite a few good things. Like, I remember having strategies that I thought would work well with, before playing, but then put them into playing, it's not as good. So that's mostly teaching me how to do, different kind of ways to fight and, think and strategize. Because, like, I used to think these Venom tropes, I mostly just brought them because they make it harder for enemies to shoot at you. But turns out they're beasts in melee and will not let you escape from melee once they're in it. They'll make you go last, they'll deal a bunch of damage, and they won't let you escape without a fight.
Awesome. So we had talked a little earlier about how you kind of know a lot about lore. Can you just tell me a little bit about maybe some of your favorite lore or something that you think is the most interesting or exciting?
Definitely. My favorite lore is definitely a bit of the Necrons. I love how they used to be, have flesh, and would do anything to, save them from their horrible diseases that they would constantly have due to their radioactive sun. But they fell in with the wrong crowd and ended up getting most of their souls eaten by the Necron, by their gods, the Catan. But the best part about that is they didn't just, get their souls eaten and, fight in endless battles and essentially just become slaves to these dark gods, but rather they fought back, they crushed them, and now they essentially use their gods as essentially Pokemon, sending out shards of them in conflict and on the tabletop. My favorite character is Trazen the Infinite. He's essentially a librarian, he has a whole museum planet full of, different factions and that he's collected over the years. Because most Necrons just, fell asleep after having that big, conflict with the gods and the Eldari and stuff. But he's stayed awake, collected stuff from all the quote-unquote lesser races, and now has a whole museum dedicated to, the entire 40K setting, and he knows everything. Heck, I collect a bit of everything because I, like the lore so much that I want it, and buildings that I collect things, and I call it a bit of tracening after him because I mostly just like collecting things based off their lore and building them to be pretty neat.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on and taking some time to talk with us. I think it's really cool because you're the first person that really got to open up and talk a little bit about the lore. I mean, we've brought up the fact that it exists, but it was awesome to get to hear some of your stories and some of your passion about why you like it. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to maybe playing some games with you on the table at some point.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, man. It was great talking to you.